I thought the Sonic Frontiers coverage was done until release. However, literally every news outlet just stood over us and spilled buckets of gameplay all over our faces. It was a literal Sonic news cocky. So a random small gaming outlet called Shack News somehow dropped 14 new clips of full Frontiers gameplay with a couple new ones added today. In quick edit, just adding up all their times, it's over an hour of gameplay. Are you kidding me? And to avoid spoilers, I put the clips in chronological order of the 3 islands here, so when we do get to Chaos, the 3rd one, there's going to be a huge spoiler warning on screen and in the chapters. Because again, I don't want to spoil this for you guys. I'm excited too. Like, I'm avoiding the 4th and 5th island just like you guys. I'm also going to cover the fact that we finally heard full Sonic dialogue, and about half the fan base combusted in rage over this. And whether you agree with them or not, you'll understand why they're mad soon enough. And I thought the last video would be the final one, and this hour plus of gameplay came out the day after it dropped. So go easy, but this is the final one, okay? I'm calling it. There's no way we're gonna get like a 6-hour gameplay drop tomorrow, but knowing my luck, we will. So quickly, 6 seconds, the length of a vine, drop a like and double check you're subbed to God's favorite Sonic channel, The Sonic Show. And if not, you'll never see a Sonic news again, and your fake parasocial relationship with the PNG raccoon will fade away. Okay, now that I'm assured you're subscribed, let's start with the first new clip from Kronos, then we'll progress into Eris and Chaos from there. So, without further ado, play it! So let's look at the first clip. One of the first things you might notice, you know, besides Big, is that there's this weird light spasming in the background. This is just a little odd, smaller bug that will probably be gone by release or shortly after.
Oh, hey Sonic, you come here to fish too?
We hear Big's voice, which sounds very on par, as well as Roger's Sonic here.
Big, what are you doing here? How did you get here? What even is here?
Which is a bit more laid back and deeper than normal, but we'll go into this more later in a clip that shows it off a bit better. And before a lot of people get mad that,
Jaden, you hate it?
Because, you know, a lot of people jump to conclusions, I actually like it a lot. I think it matches the tone a bit more of Frontiers. For Big's fishing, it costs 1 purple coin for him to let you use his rod, which you get throughout the game. And from this, you can sell back what you catch to Big for the rewards on screen. This is a classic Big the capitalist move, and I wouldn't expect any different. There's a lot of fish and things that you can catch here, and I think this is a super cool side addition, which there is a huge variety of totally unique little mini games just like this across all the islands, and they have their own section later. Oh, also if you're wondering why Big is on the island and even here in the first place, it's just because he was looking for a fishing spot.
I don't know. I was looking for fishing spots and wound up here.
So him winding up here is just a big coincidence. In this second clip is a really cool one. We see Sonic going up to the capsule Amy's in, and we're just being baited. The player apparently has no clue what to do and tries punching it as well as side looping it, even though they have enough heart tokens to unlock it, and it literally says what button to hit on screen. It's X, but they run off anyways. And you guys are going to be really happy that I'm cutting this down because, oh my god, my unborn child could play better than this. I actually think they got the guy from the first Frontiers gameplay back for this final send-off. So he runs off, explores the world a little bit, even eventually does a cyberspace stage, and this is a short one, especially since someone of their skill beat it in exactly a minute. But it's also our first time seeing the 2.5D version of the highway stage. And seriously, the player then gives us the biggest tease ever. So Sonic goes and defeats the Asura, and if Shaquille O'Neal, head of Shaq News, didn't drag this clip out enough, they finally go back to unlock Amy from her pod, even though they had enough heart things from the beginning. And you're free from spoilers because unironically, the clip cuts off right after they walk up and give the heart tokens they got. And the clip is even called Rescuing Amy. Oh my god. You guys could never accuse me of clickbait ever again. This is like the most egregious thing ever. The third of the 13 clips we got is just a handful of full cyberspace stages. And this first one is Sky Sanctuary's cyberspace stage, but we'll move past this one quickly since we've already seen it in full, and I even covered it a couple weeks back. So this is just it again with a slightly better quality. The next stage here is Green Hill Zone, which is the one with the Windmill Isle level layout. And I know everyone is sick of Green Hill, but this colored background with this golden hour lighting is so pretty. We also see the 2.5D version of Chemical Plant Zone, and I mean, there's not much to say on it. I've seen a lot of people mentioning how they keep struggling and saying,
The game is bugged.
and I got dunked on Twitter for this, but either they jumped or are moving the stick left instead of right. And regardless, both of these mechanics are the same in literally every Sonic game. And we've also seen this level get completed at Gamescom and other demos with earlier builds. So this is clearly just a person messing around and testing with the game, which shouldn't be a shock since every one of these clips looks like it's from my dad's first time ever playing a video game. There's also the 2.5D Sky Sanctuary stage, but again, there isn't much to say about this one. I really like it and it looks fun, but it's all stuff we've seen before, and for something like this, you really have to play it to experience it. This next clip is of the Asura boss, and it actually validates a concern I brought up in my very last video. So it was revealed in the combat and upgrades trailer that you can side loop on the ground anywhere to get rings when you need them. I didn't hear anyone bring it up, but to me, this sounds crazy overpowered, especially if there's no cooldown, meaning you essentially will always have rings, making it nearly impossible to get defeated if you simply just get more rings. And within the first seconds of this clip, we see the player doing exactly that, going from 150 to 400 rings fully maxed out just like that. And once you hit the max number, you see the Sonic movie Ice Spark animation, and when he's capped out, he can go faster than normal and has blue lightning around him, literally just like movie Sonic. You lose this if you get hit and no longer have max rings anymore. So Sonic goes and fights the Asura, which they've detailed many times, but now seeing not just the HUD, but even the achievements unlocking, which by the way, I wouldn't look into those, there's likely tons of spoilers there, but all the elements just work really well together here. We see a cool upgraded version of the combo HUD element, as well as like a nice little minimal speedometer, and everything feels like it's taking up a symmetrical amount of space, all in its own corner. Whereas before, a lot of things were like, oh, the top left is massive and there's kind of nothing in the top right. Now it feels very even, very nice. It's very well balanced, and this is easily one of the prettiest user interfaces of any Sonic game. But back to the boss fight. Again, I'm a little worried how easy it is, because not only the max rings thing here, but it's actually hard to get hit. The player hits the red push things, which it makes sense, don't hurt you. But at the top, you have to time the break in electricity to hit the pillars, but hitting the electricity doesn't hurt you either. And yeah, they mess up and hit the electricity 3 times, and only the 3rd time it hurts. And the only reason the 3rd time hurts them is not because of the electricity, but because he took so long, he got hurt by the Asura going back to walking. Once you side loop the leg, it only will stay still for like a certain amount of time. People get mad when I make the Halo comparisons, but it's literally just like the Scarab, bruh. So it seems the only way you can get hurt by the Asura is by being crushed by its leg, which isn't hard to avoid at all, and it's just a wee little side loop to stop. However, to be objective and look at both sides, while this seems ludicrously easy, keep in mind this is still only from the first island, and they stated that the 5 islands increasingly get harder as you progress. So this next clip is the first one from Eris Island, which is the 2nd island. It starts with Sonic fighting the mini boss that looks much more like a feat of architecture than a boss, and he defeats it, getting a portal gear. We see another one of Eggman's pods like we saw in Kronos, but this one is halfway sunken into the sand, so I don't know if that means anything. Maybe he loses control as the islands go on, since we do know he literally traps himself in the cyberspace in like the very beginning of the game. The player traverses the open world more, finding a new fun way to get a Knuckles medal, and exploring this open world is going to be the majority of the fun and uniqueness about Sonic Frontiers. We even see this really pretty water area surrounded by canyons that shows even in a desert zone like Eris, there's still a bit of variety in the landscapes. This next clip is of Sonic defeating the Sumo boss, and we've seen this many times before, so I'm gonna move past it. But the only thing to mention is, and I noticed this in a few other clips, but it's very clear here, the day and night cycle is very fast. Like, it goes from being night to day in less than 2 minutes here. I've seen this a little bit before, and I don't know if this is like a bug. Maybe it's intentional. I don't know. But I just found it interesting. It's not a terrible thing. I actually think it's cool that you get to experience it that quickly. And maybe there's some like story reason for it. Like the day and night cycle is just faster there. I don't know. But it's just something to point out. However, this next clip, and here's your warning, is from the third island, Chaos. Not the fourth or fifth, but the third. Throw up the warning. So from our first Chaos Island clip, we see what's called the Starlight event, where all of these items with lasers over them spawn. And there's also a slot system for Sonic, and this is the most gorgeous implementation of a gameplay element in all of Frontier so far. It triggers the collectathon part of my brain that I've been saying I've wanted since the very first time we learned this is open world. And oh my god, are they delivering. Combined with the fact that these are not copy pasted throughout the game and seem to have all these unique fun side elements, excites me so much, especially towards the end when we get into just the mini games. Oh, the mini games across the 3 islands. There's one that just blows my mind. So yeah, this little laser collectathon mini game seems like a blast, but let's move on to the next clip. Well, the first thing that stands out to me here is seeing the environment. The clouds on the side give this feeling of being really high up in the air, and the volcano in the background is so cool. I'm still so curious what the other 2 islands are, but again, I'm avoiding all spoilers until I can play the game, which, God, hopefully I get a review copy soon. Oh man. We see the ninja again, but this one, the shinobi, is harder than previous ones. And that excites me a lot, because apparently this isn't going to be some baby game throughout, or at least I'm hoping. We also see Sonic beat this different type of dreidel looking enemy, and we haven't seen this before, which again, the uniqueness and variety between these islands' enemies is insane. And also, do not tell Kanye that Sonic is attacking dreidel enemies. We already know he likes Sonic. He will become head over heels a Sonic fan, okay? We can't have that right now. Also, just like the Amy clip, you see Sonic, he's about to free Tails, but the clip cuts off. Whoa, which I guess is probably best for spoilers anyways. But I mean, I know he's gonna free Tails and Amy anyways, just let me see it. Now I just have to imagine it. This next clip is of an insane boss fight between this massive flying mini boss, and no, this isn't a Titan. It's just a smaller big boy, like the Asura, or the flying thing from Kronos, or the architecture from Ares. You have to catch up to it by grinding on the rail trails it leaves, and attacking the core at the end to defeat it and make it blow up. It's super cool, looks super fun, its humongous scale is totally gorgeous in this world, but there's not much else to say other than that. This next clip are some of the puzzles and challenges captured by Shaquille O'Neal News across the 3 Starfall islands. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through them all, is ones like the Kronos dot one we've seen like 1,000 times. So let's go through the new ones. They added one of those classic go through the ring missions on Ares, but instead with boxes instead of rings. Because rings? What is this? Sonic? There's another one on Ares where you flip the switch and have to get to the end position by a certain time, which explains why we all initially thought this element looked like an hourglass, because it literally is one. There's one last timer minigame they captured on Ares. In this one, you go through the rings, but while falling midair, which I think is a fun twist. It sort of reminds me of the beginning of Westopolis in Shadow the Hedgehog. This next one looks like it's on Chaos. In here, you have to hit the ball through 3 different hoops, which definitely isn't hard, but a very quick little break from this core gameplay. And that's one thing that I think is important to point out here. All of these minigames seem like they're really quick to do. None of these feel like time sucks. They feel very fun. And even if you're like, it looks mediocre, they're going to be very short. And the best part is they're unique. It's not like Assassin's Creed where they're gonna copy paste a million of these throughout the map. And frankly, that excites me a lot. And you might think, Jaden, you're writing this game a little too hard, kind of like a rail. But after you see this one, you'll be convinced. This one is by far my favorite. It's a Tetris minigame where it drops the pieces in the order you side loop them, and you have to do it in a particular order so that it fits correctly. Something that requires a little thinking. But again, just like all the other minigames, this can be done really quickly. And the nostalgia and quality of these is something that I think is going to appeal to a general audience who really just wants to focus on the core Sonic gameplay, but having these short, unique bursts will hopefully charm and win them over. This next clip is of the full skill tree. We've actually already seen many of these skills, so I'll only go through what's new and interesting. One thing that surprised me is auto combos a skill and not an accessibility feature, which I do think is good since it is somewhat of an advantage right out the gate. We don't know if it's been updated from the early demo where Sonic's air tricks were just punches midair, but there's a new icon for his midair tricks, and this makes me think it's been updated as it looks much better than literally him punching. And that is a huge area for improvement in Frontiers. Granted, I don't know if it's actually been implemented or not. There's a quick side loop ability, which during a combo, all you have to do is just hit Y. Something I think concerned a lot of people because they don't want to have to manually run every time they use it, especially in combat where it would really slow down the pace and even get you hurt sometimes. I think this is a convenient and fun way to incorporate it into direct combat. There's a midair loop kick, and this is not the circle spin attack, which is also on here. But with this one, he does a massive big foot stretch kick. Literally, his foot looks huge. And he directs it in an L shape towards the enemy. Literally Sonic giving them an L. There's also something called the Grand Slam, which you do by hitting Y and B when a prompt appears on screen. There's a different ball attack, which we have seen before, which again is also on here, but this one we haven't seen yet. There's also the Cross Slash, which is like the Sonic Boom attack where he kicks projectiles, but this one has a bigger shockwave and it circles the enemy. This last clip is just the settings of the game, and of course, I'm only going to cover the interesting bits, as like 99% of this is stuff who cares about. One thing I find super interesting is that you can limit your initial boost speed here, as well as increase your starting speed. Basically just turning momentum off and just immediately going fast. Obviously that's an exaggeration, but pretty close. You can also really limit your top speed and acceleration, which are by default maxed. And this is something I think is really interesting. It makes me wonder how hard this game would be if you nerf yourself to be as slow and have as little boost as possible. And I feel like that would be a good idea for a video. You can even limit your bounce height as well as everything about your camera, including the distance, which is something I absolutely love, as there's nothing that bothers me more than a bad camera that you cannot adjust. Ooh, that irks me. On the graphics tab, you can basically toggle every element of your display in HUD, making it as clean as you want it to be without having to install any mods. And even then, the default center cursor is set to off, so I don't even know what that looks like, but assumedly it just shows you where you're looking, or maybe it's just a reticle in the center of the screen. I really don't know. Regardless, being able to make it like cinematic from even a Nintendo Switch console is absolutely ludicrous to me. And that's about all of that. There's a lot of other clips coming out and circulating as I speak, but I don't want to get into any possible spoilers. And these clips I showed you today are all very clean, very sanitary clips, and with a bit over a week until release. I think it's really the last Frontiers news video, which is sad because my voice was kind of bad throughout it. I know you've been cringing. I'm sorry, I'm a little mucusy. But wow, from Sonic Rangers confirmed leaks to here, it's been a blast. And I can't wait to see you for Sonic Prime, whatever the Knuckles show is, whatever surprise games, fan stuff, and a very interesting original story that I've been working on, and I'm so excited to cover. Lots of cool new projects over on The Sonic Show. Double check that sub, and lots of love. I love making videos, and I hope you love watching them. So, peace to you. Peace. 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 One final piece for Frontiers. Peace!